Dad told me it was just a get-together when I found out I wasn't invited to my brother's engagement party. So instead of sitting around sulking, I packed up and went on a solo trip. Hours later, my phone was blowing up, my whole family calling, crying, blaming me for chaos I never even saw. Hey, Reddit. My family has always played favorites, but this was the breaking point. My brother threw a massive engagement party and didn't even bother to invite me. So I said screw it, grabbed my gear, and went on vacation. But the drama followed anyway. Let me back up. I'm Lucas, 32, living in a small apartment above a diner that smells like fries 24/7. My brother Daniel's 28, ex-Army, back home for a year now, and he's a golden child. He's the guy my parents brag about everyone. Their hero, selfless, always the center of every story. Me, I'm the one they call when the Wi-Fi goes out or when gutters need cleaning. Nobody's writing Facebook posts about me that I'm not jealous of Daniel. He's my brother. I care about him. But the way my parents treat him, whole different league. Like last Thanksgiving, I drove 3 hours in the rain to get there on time. Daniel showed up 2 hours late. No apology, dripping mud across the rug because he stopped for drinks with a buddy. Mom hugged him like he'd just come back from war again. Me? She handed me a towel and said, "You can clean that, right, Lucas?" That's the dynamic. Always has been. Fast forward to last month. I was in my little workroom, corner of my apartment where I rebuild old motorcycles. Also finishing a custom save-the-date designed for Daniel and his fiancée, Hannah. He asked me because, in his words, "You're the artsy one, and Hannah likes the handmade vibe." I didn't mind. I stayed up late more than once to get it right, because Hannah kept changing her mind about colors. Finally, she loved the version I made with mountain outline, and their initials S.O. I'm sitting there, tweaking the last details, when my phone buzzes. Text from Daniel. Party this weekend. Guest list super tight. Hope you understand. I read it twice. At first, I thought he meant some small hangout Hannah's friends were doing. But then I opened Instagram while the file's exporting. And there it is. Some girl Hannah knows posts. Can't wait for the big weekend. With a lake, a giant tent, and a hashtag Daniel and Hannah that I call Dad. Hey, what's this party this weekend? Daniel texted something weird. Dad goes, "Oh, it's nothing big. Just to get together at Hannah's parents' lake house before the wedding. Don't make it a thing. Am I invited?" Long pause. It's mostly her family and close friends. Daniel said the guest list is tight. Dad, I literally designed their invitations for free. Look, Lucas, he says in that tone like I'm being difficult. It's not personal. Just keeping it small. I hang up before I say something dumb. 5 minutes later, my cousin Isla sends her the actual Evite because she assumes I'm coming. Big blue banner. Join us for a weekend celebration. Point 137. Going to S.O. much for small. I skim the list. Stop at one name. Zoe. Daniel's high school ex-type guest list. Huh. Me. The guy who lent him $2,000 when his bank card got hacked overseas. The guy who built their wedding website because Hannah didn't like the pro templates. Not on the list. That's when something shifts. Not dramatic. No music. Just a clear thought. If they don't want me there, fine. I'm not sitting around waiting for the next favor they need. I pull up a map. There's an off-road trail system in Colorado I've wanted to ride for years. Always said someday. 10 hours west. I start planning. Motels, campgrounds, fuel stops. I can load my bike on the truck bed, hit the trails, maybe keep going after that. I text Isla. Not going. Got other plans. Phone buzzes nonstop. Isla, wait, why wouldn't you be there? I post a picture on Instagram of my bike strapped to the truck bed. Not on the list. Make your own. I pack my helmet, boots, gloves. Throw tools in a box. For once, I don't tell anyone my plan. Saturday morning, while my parents and half the town drive off to the lake house I wasn't invited to, I turn the key in my old Tacoma and head west. First time in years. I feel like I'm actually going somewhere for me. Truck was already packed. Gas tank full. Gear strapped down. Route pulled up on my phone. I leave before sunrise. Whole street asleep, except the diner guy hosing the sidewalk. Driving west feels weird. I'm used to errands, work deliveries, airport runs, stuff for my parents. This time, just me, an hour in, Isla calls. You're seriously not coming? Nope. Got other plans. Lucas, it's your brother's engagement weekend. He didn't invite me. Silence. I thought that was a mistake. Everyone just assumed you'd be there. Guess not. She sighs. What did your parents say? That it's small. Guest list was tight. Even though there's 100 people and a DJ? Yep. Wow. Okay. So where you going? Colorado. Taking the bike. Hitting some trails. She half laughs, not sure if I'm serious. You're actually leaving the state over this? Yeah. Already on the road. She doesn't argue. Just says, send me a picture when you get there. And Luke is good for you. I hang up, keep driving. Miles roll by. Farmland, tiny towns with one gas station and a diner, then long empty stretches with billboards for fireworks and Jesus. My truck's old enough the radio crackles when I touch the knob, so I stick to podcasts and bad playlists I made years ago. By late afternoon, mountains rise in the distance. Truck winds on steep grades, but makes it. I stop at a roadside motel just past the state line. Wood paneling, plastic chairs outside each door. Room smells like lemon cleaner and old carpet. Good enough. Next morning, I head to the trailhead. Big dirt lot, full of trucks, trailers, bikes in every color. While I'm unloading, a guy with a buzz cut and knee brace walks up. Need a hand? Sure, I say. Name's Miles. Ex-Marine. Been riding since he was a kid. Messed up his knee last year, but won't quit. He introduces me to Wyatt. Divorced dad with a beat-up pickup, and 2 teenagers he sees every other weekend. And Naomi, a grad student filming a project about public lands. They check out my bike, gnaw like it passes inspection. Ask if I want to join their loop. We start easy. Dirt, a few rocks. I haven't ridden serious trails in months. Arms stiff at first. Then a downhill, nothing insane, but enough to make my stomach drop. I almost dump the bike, but catch it. Miles gives me a thumbs up like I want to race. We stop at a creek halfway. Everyone pulls out snacks, jerky, trail mix, gas station sandwiches. No talk about weddings or family drama. Just tires, chains, best camping stoves. I check my phone. For missed calls from Dad. 1 from Mom. 2 texts from Hannah. Hey, can we talk later about the design stuff? Also hope you're okay. Ignored. Back at the lot, Miles asks if I'm camping with them. Says they've got a spot near the river. Room for another tent. Yeah, I tell him. Why not? We set up before dark. Wyatt shows me how to brace my tent with extra rope. Naomi films the sunset. Miles cooks chili on a tiny stove. Conversation drifts. Bikes, work, future plans. Wyatt talks about learning guitar at 40. Naomi might move to Alaska. Miles tells a story about sleeping through a storm in Afghanistan like it was nothing. I don't say much. Just listen. Realize it's the first night in years no one's asking me for a favor. When it gets cold enough to see my breath, I crawl into my sleeping bag. Check my phone one more time. More missed calls. Isla sent a picture. Lake house all lit up, people dancing under a tent. I turn the phone off. Tomorrow, harder trails. Morning air cuts like ice when I crawl out of the tent. Mist low on the river. Sun barely clearing the ridge. Miles makes coffee. Wyatt stretches. Naomi films a pink sky. We pack fast. Drive to a tougher trail. Longer climbs. More rocks. Miles gives quick instructions. Stay left on ridges. Keep speed downhill. Trust your tires. First big drop. I almost freeze. Push through. Tires skid, catch. Somehow I stay upright. AT the bottom. Wyatt yells, "That's the way." I laugh, hand still shaking. Halfway through the loop, we stopped at a clearing overlooking the valley. Phones came out for photos. Out of habit, I checked mine. 3 texts from Isla in the last hour. Things getting weird here. Hannah looks upset. Call me when you can. No details, just that. I sent her a quick thumbs-up emoji because the group was already moving again. The next section was smoother. Long curves through tall pines, the air heavy with sap and dust. By the time we rolled back into the lot, my arms felt like rubber, but it was the good kind, like I'd actually done something real. Miles clapped me on the shoulder. Not bad for your first real ride. Didn't die, I said. Always a goal, Wyatt added. We sat on tailgates, eating whatever scraps were left, protein bars, apples, trail mix Naomi pass around. Nobody seemed in a rush. Then my phone buzzed again. Isla, this time calling. I answered. What's happening? She didn't waste time. Hannah's been crying on and off since last night. Some fight with Daniel before the big dinner tonight. Mom's trying to hide it, but it's obvious. About what? No clue. But your dad keeps saying everything's fine while looking like he's about to blow a gasket. I could hear voices in the background, music, doors slamming, people talking over each other. Isla lowered her voice. Pretty sure Daniel's old girlfriend, Zoe, showed up this morning. Hannah wasn't thrilled. I closed my eyes. He invited Zoe? Looks like it. Or maybe his friends did. Either way, Hannah looked ready to throw him in the lake. Wyatt glanced over like he could hear her through the phone. I mouthed family drama. He nodded knowingly, like he'd seen plenty. Anyway, Isla continued, thought you should know, since everyone keeps asking where you are. Dad told some people you were sick. Mom said work trip. Daniel just says you're busy. Sounds about right, I said. Lucas, she added before hanging up, whatever you're doing out there, keep doing it. They're running in circles without you. After she hung up, I gave Miles and Wyatt the basics. Miles laughed once. Families fall apart fast when the glue walks off. Wyatt pointed at me with his sandwich. Don't go back early. They'll just dump it all on you again. I wasn't planning to. That afternoon, Naomi filmed us writing sections for a project. She wanted shots of ordinary people doing ordinary things in wild places. Felt strange, but kind of cool. At one point, she asked why I'd come out here. Because I wasn't invited to a party. I told her. She laughed like she thought I was joking. We camped again that night. Different spot near a trailhead with picnic tables. Wyatt told us about his kid scoring the winning soccer goal last week. Miles talked about sleeping in a Jeep during a sandstorm. Naomi shared her dream of hiking Alaska once her thesis was done. When my phone got signal again, Isla's pictures started loading. First, Hannah sitting on the dock alone, eyes red, makeup smudged. Second, Daniel and Zoe talking close near the fire pit, heads tilted like old times. Third, Dad waving his arms at someone out of frame. Fourth, Isla's caption, "This dinner's going to be a disaster." I showed the photos to Wyatt and Miles. Called it. Wyatt said, "Bet it gets worse before it gets better." Miles added, I shut the phone off and shoved it in the truck's glove box. Before bed, I walked a little way from camp. Out there, the stars looked sharp enough to cut yourself on. Back home, they're drowned out by streetlights and traffic. Here, it was just cold air, wind in the trees, and my legs aching from the ride. Isla's words echoed, "They're spinning without you." Part of me felt bad for Hannah. The rest of me felt nothing. They'd left me out. Now, they could handle it themselves. Back at camp, Naomi was editing footage, laptop glow lighting her face. Miles was already out cold in his tent. Wyatt poked the fire with a stick the way every dad does, even when there's nothing left to burn. Tomorrow will be the hardest trail yet, Miles promised. Whatever chaos was brewing at the lake house, it would either sort itself out or blow up without me there to mop it up. Next morning, Miles wasn't kidding. The trail was brutal. Steep switchbacks, loose rock everywhere. On one side, the drop-off was enough to make my stomach flip. "Keep your eyes on the line, not the edge," Miles warned before we started. Easier said than done. The first climb nearly stalled me, but I leaned forward the way he showed me, kept the throttle steady, and somehow made it to the top. We stopped for water. Naomi set her camera on a tripod, catching the whole valley. River cutting through the middle, clouds snagged on peaks. That's when my phone buzzed again. Isla, I answered, still catching my breath. It's happening, she said, voice sharp. What's happening? The party's going down in flames. Shouts in the background. Music cut off. Then silence. Slowed down. I told her. Okay, she said fast. So, Hannah saw Daniel and Zoe talking by the bar. Nothing crazy, but people noticed. Then she found out Zoe's staying at a cabin nearby. Apparently, Daniel knew. Hannah lost it. I could hear voices yelling behind her. She confronted him in front of everyone. Asked if he still had feelings for Zoe. He laughed, like nervous, awkward laugh, but it looked bad. She threw her drink in his face. Full glass, right in front of everyone. I sat on my bike, staring at the trail. Then what? Daniel cursed at her. She ran off crying. His friends tried calming him down, but Zoe kept hanging around, like she didn't read the room. Your dad started yelling at the event manager about the music. The bartender cut off drinks because things were getting loud. Then, a crash rang through the call, like furniture toppling. Now, Daniel just punched a wall, she said. Pretty sure his hands busted. Mom's crying. Hannah's locked herself in a car with her sister. Dad's arguing with the venue about damages. I could picture it too well. Dad red-faced, Daniel swearing, Hannah in tears, Mom pretending it was fine. Where are you? Isla asked suddenly. On top of a mountain, I said. She made a sound between a laugh and a groan. Everyone keeps asking where you are. Dad told people you're driving back tonight. I'm not, I said. Good, she replied. Because Grandma Stella just told Daniel, this is what happens when you cut out the only responsible adult in the family. Whole place went dead silent. I almost laughed. She really said that? Yep. He didn't even argue. Just stood there dripping drink mix, looking stupid. Miles waved for me to keep moving. I told Isla I'd call later and hung up. The downhill was savage. Tight turns, roots everywhere. Bike bouncing like it wanted to buck me off. By the bottom, my arms felt like wet rope, but I held on. Miles nodded like I'd passed some test. Back at camp, we ate early. Naomi edited with earbuds in, head bobbing to music. I checked my phone one last time before dark. Isla had sent a flood of updates. Hannah left with her sister. Wedding's off. Dad's blaming the venue. Daniel's at urgent care. Hand might be broken. Grandma Stella told everyone to go home. Attached was a photo. Empty tables, lights still glowing. Mom hugging Hannah's sister, while Dad argued in the background. Daniel nowhere. Wyatt leaned over. That your family? Yeah, looks like a fun crowd. Total blast. I muttered. He smirked. Bet they're about to call you, huh? He was right. Calls started before dark. Dad first. I let it ring. Then Mom. Then Daniel. Then Dad again. Miles tossed another branch on the fire. You gonna call back? Not tonight. Instead, I walked down to the river. Moon rising over the trees. Cold air off the water. Stars everywhere. My phone buzzed nonstop until I finally shut it off completely. I slept better that night than I had in months. Next morning, before we hit the ridge trail, I turned it on just long enough to see the notifications flood in. Dad, we needed you here. You abandoned us when things fell apart. Daniel, please call me. It's a mess. Hannah's furious. Wedding might be off. Mom, everyone's looking for you. Please don't make this worse. I turned off again, zipped it into my jacket, and swung onto my bike. Ready? Miles asked. Yeah, I said. Let's ride. The ridge trail lived up to the warning. Steep drops on both sides, barely wide enough for two bikes to pass. One wrong move, you'd be sliding forever. Halfway across, we stopped at a flat spot to breathe. Wind cut over the ridge, sharp and cold. From there, Miles swore we could see 3 states. Worth it, Wyatt said, leaning on his handlebars. I pulled a little spiral notebook from my jacket pocket. Last night, sitting by the fire, I'd written out a list. Not feelings, not a journal, just bullet points. Pay back the $2,000 by end of year. No free design work. Family discount 25%, nothing more. 2 weeks notice for events. No last-minute guilt trips. No asking me to mediate fights. If you argue, deal with it yourselves. Respect no the first time. No bargaining. I stared at the list again. Simple rules. Clear. The kind nobody could pretend they didn't understand. Writing homework. Wyatt asked. Boundaries. I said. He nodded, like he'd written a few himself once. Good families push until you stop them. Back at camp, Miles heated canned soup, while Wyatt showed me how to patch a tube on my bike's spare tire. Just normal stuff. And then I turned my phone on. The voicemails came first. Dad? Lucas. Your brother's in rough shape. You need to call back. We can't handle this right now. Mom. Sweetheart, please come home early. Everyone's upset. We need you. We need you to fix it today. She listed out like a shopping trip. Redo the venue layout, rebuild the Evite, call Hannah's parents. Get everyone back on the same page. You're the only one who can turn this around. Daniel, look, I messed up, okay? Hannah won't answer me. Dad's furious. Just call me. Isla, Grandma Stella's moved into Mom and Dad's house. She told your dad to shut up twice already. You'd love it. I didn't call anyone back. Instead, I texted Isla. Safe. Back in 2 days. Things change when I get back. She just replied, about time. That afternoon, we hit one more trail. Fast downhill, all switchbacks and loose rock. By the bottom, my arms burned, but in the good way, the kind that feels clean like all the noise stayed on top of the ridge. Back at camp, I opened my email. Switchback Creative, a small design studio in Colorado, had written back again. They liked my portfolio. Wanted to talk Monday about a 6-month contract. I typed, yes, let's talk, before I could overthink it. Evening came. Wyatt built a fire. Miles cooked pasta in the dented pot. Naomi uploaded her footage somewhere on spotty Wi-Fi. I rewrote my list again, this time neat enough to hand someone. Later, another round of messages loaded when my phone got signal. Isla, your dad tried to talk to Hannah's parents today. Disaster. They told him Daniel better fix this himself. I didn't answer. Wyatt looked over. Still blowing up? Yeah, I said. He tossed another stick on the fire. Let it burn. They started it. That night, while the others crashed, I sat in my truck with the dome light on. I wrote a short message to the family group chat. Back Wednesday. We meet somewhere neutral. I bring a list. If it's not respected, I'm out until it is. Your move. Then I shut the phone off again. Next morning, we packed up camp. Miles headed east. Wyatt back home to his kids. Naomi to the airport. We traded numbers, but no big speeches, just nods and handshakes. Driving back alone felt different than coming out. Quieter in my head. I stopped in a small-town diner for breakfast. Eggs and toast for $6. By evening, I was 2 states over, checked into a cheap motel with buzzing lights and carpet older than me. I opened my laptop, filled out paperwork. Switchback Creative confirmed Monday's call. Before sleeping, I turned my phone on just long enough to see one last text from Isla. Your dad says you better be ready to explain yourself Wednesday. Grandma says you better be ready to make demands. I texted back. Oh, I am? I picked the North Side Deli because it had big tables, bright windows, and no way for anyone to slam doors or shout without half the place watching. Wednesday, 11 a.m., exactly like I texted. I got there 10 minutes early. Ordered black coffee, nothing else. Sat at the corner table where I could see the parking lot. At 10:59, Dad's truck rolled in. He marched inside first. Stiff shoulders, jaw tight. Mom followed, eyes already wet. Daniel came next, hand in a brace, looking like someone who wanted pity. They sat across from me. Finally decided to show up, Dad said before anyone touched the menu. After running off while your family fell apart. I sipped my coffee. Morning to you, too. Mom leaned forward. Lucas, your brother's wedding is hanging by a thread. Your father's blood pressure is through the roof. Hannah's parents think we're lunatics. We needed you here. I set my coffee down. Needed me for what? To fix Daniel flirting with Zoe? To stop him punching walls? Dad stared at the window. It was my call. I told myself keeping you off would keep everything calm. It was a stupid move. So you cut me to keep things calm. I said, how'd that work out? Dad slammed his palm on the table hard enough to rattle the silverware. This isn't about who did what. This is about families showing up when it counts. And you off on some vacation while everything blew up? I leaned forward. Family showing up? You didn't even invite me to the wedding party. Remember that 100 people on the guest list? I found out from Isla. Nobody said anything. Mom looked at her lap. Daniel stared at the window. I pulled a folded sheet of paper from my jacket and laid it on the table. This is what I came to talk about. Mom waved a hand. Lucas, please, not list right now. We need to focus on Daniel and Hannah. No, I said, we're focusing on this first. Dad leaned back, snorted like I'd told a joke. You think you get to set rules for us? After the way you abandoned everyone. I didn't raise my voice. I didn't abandon anyone. I set my phone down for the first time in 10 years. And you all acted like the world ended. Daniel crossed his arms. Oh, here we go. Poor Lucas, the victim. Never mind Hannah crying all weekend. Me in urgent care. Dad trying to hold the family together. I cut him off. Hold the family together? You mean yelling at bartenders while Grandma Stella told you the truth? Mom gasped like I'd cursed in church. Dad's face turned red. I pointed at the paper. $2,000 I sent you at 3 a.m. from Germany. Never paid back. Every wedding graphic Hannah wanted changed last minute. Done for free. Rides to the airport. Emergencies fixed. Holidays skipped so I could finish your stuff. And one time I don't show up, suddenly I'm the problem. Daniel muttered, You didn't have to do all that. Right, I said. I didn't, but I did. And you all got used to it. Mom reached across the table like touching my hand would erase everything. Sweetheart, let's not fight. We just need you to help plan the new engagement party so we can... I pulled my hand back. No, read the list. Dad snatched it off the table, scanned the first lines, then tossed it back like it was trash. Payback money. 2 weeks' notice for events. Respect and know. What is this? A contract. Exactly, I said, because without rules, you treat me like free labor, like a firefighter waiting for alarms. Mom's voice went sharp. How can you be so cold after everything this family's been through? I almost laughed. Cold? You threw a 100-person party and didn't invite me, then blamed me when it collapsed. And I'm the cold one. Daniel slammed his good hand on the table. Hannah wouldn't even be mad if you were there to talk to her. She listens to you. You could have fixed it. Not my job to fix your mess, I said. He leaned forward, face tight. So what, you're better than us now? Off riding bikes like some midlife crisis hero. While the rest of you what? I asked, light everything on fire and call me when the smoke gets thick? Dad shoved his chair back loud enough to turn heads at the next table. I will not be spoken to like this by my own son. Then listen instead. I said, calm, because here's how it goes. Follow the list, we stay in contact. Don't, and I step back. No yelling. No drama. Just distance. Mom grabbed the paper again, scanning it like maybe it bit her. You'd really cut off your family over this? I finished my coffee. Over years of being treated like a tool? Yeah. Nobody spoke for a full 10 seconds. Then Dad muttered, selfish. I stood. Call it whatever you want. My life. My rules now. As I walked out, Isla texted, Grandma says about time someone knocked him down a peg. I sent back. Meeting over. Things change now. 2 weeks after that deli meeting, I was back on the road, this time with everything I owned stuffed into the truck bed. Switchback Creative offered me the 6-month contract after just one Zoom call. The pay was solid, the work sounded even better, and, most importantly, it was far away from my family's never-ending chaos. I moved into a small apartment in town. The landlord, a retired teacher, slid the keys across the counter and said, Don't blast music after 10. That was it. No drama, no speeches. On my first day at Switchback Creative, The creative director handed me a folder filled with logos, old brochures, and a list of everything they needed designed. Mom called on the third evening. I let it ring and listened to the voicemail later. We hope you're settling in. Your father says hi. Daniel's hand is healing. Hannah, well, we'll see. I didn't call back right away. The family group chat kept buzzing without me. Isla sent screenshots. Dad tried to convince Hannah's parents the wedding was still on. Hannah's parents saying not until Daniel proves himself. Daniel posting gym selfies with captions about bouncing back. And Grandma Stella telling him online to bounce back into paying your brother. That part actually made me laugh. One evening, a letter showed up in my mailbox. A real envelope, actual handwriting. From Grandma Stella. Lucas, your father asked me how to throw a birthday party for your mother without it being a disaster. First time in 40 years that man's asked anyone for advice. Thought you'd want to know. I pinned the letter to my fridge, right next to my trail maps. 2 days later, Daniel called. I almost didn't answer, but curiosity won. Hey, he said, his voice awkward. I sent the first half of what I owe you. Check your account. I checked. He had. Okay, I said. He cleared his throat. Also, Hannah and I are keeping it small. 30 people, no big parties. You'll get an invite if you want it. If I want it? Yeah, he said. No pressure. I know I screwed up. I didn't promise anything, just told him I'd think about it. Back at work, things were picking up. Word spread that I worked fast and never missed deadlines. A coffee company hired me to redo their branding. Then a hiking gear store wanted a new logo. Checks hit my account like clockwork. One night, Isla called just to say Grandma Stella had told Dad, if Lucas shows up to the wedding, you keep your mouth shut and less spoken to. She really said that? I asked. Oh, yeah, Isla said, in front of Hannah's parents. I almost felt bad for him. Almost. By month 3, my apartment walls were covered in trail photos, project sketches, and postcards from places I'd visited on weekends. Santa Fe, Boulder, Moab. The same places I used to Google at 2 a.m. while fixing my family's problems. Mom started calling once a week. Short conversations. Mostly updates. Church, the garden, how Dad had calmed down a little. No yelling. No guilt trips. Just normal. Daniel sent the rest of the money in month 4. No speech, no strings, just a text, paid in full. The wedding invite came a week later. A simple card, no gold edges, no giant guest list. Just names, date, place. I booked a hotel instead of staying at my parents' house. My rules, my space. Wedding day came. Small church. Quiet crowd. Hannah nodded when she saw me. Daniel shook my hand before the ceremony. Thanks for coming, he said. No drama. No speeches about families sticking together, no matter what. Just vows, rings done. At the reception, Grandma Stella sat next to me and whispered, notice how peaceful it is when people follow rules. I smiled. A few minutes later, Mom walked over first. Hands clasped, eyes tired, but softer than I'd seen in years. Lucas, she said, I'm sorry for the party, for all of it. We should have listened sooner. Dad came next, looking like someone had forced him, but still managing. I was wrong about a lot. You deserve better than how we handled things. He glanced away, like the words weighed more than he expected. Daniel shifted on his feet, his wedding ring catching the light. I screwed up, he said. Not just the party. The way I leaned on you for everything. I get it now. I'm sorry, man. I nodded once. Thanks. And that was it. No hugging circle. No grand speeches. Just 3 people finally saying what needed to be said before heading back to their tables. Grandma Stella smirked. Took them long enough. Back in Colorado the next week, the studio offered to extend my contract another 6 months. I said yes without hesitation. The family group chat stayed mostly quiet now. Just pictures of birthdays, holidays, normal stuff. Nobody asking me to fix anything. Halfway through a Saturday ride with the locals, we stopped at a ridge. Wind in the pines, sunlight over the valley. I pulled out my phone, checked the map, then shut it off again.